So hi everyone, my name is Andreas Sedlmayr. I'm one of the co-founders of Instagrid, and today I'm going to talk about how to work efficiently and cut emissions with new battery technology on construction sites. Before we start with that, let me tell you a little bit about Instagrid. Instagrid was founded in 2018 by Sebastian Berning and myself. Before that, we were working for 6 years for a large German corporation. And the last 3 years, we were basically responsible for all the battery tools of one of the largest power tools corporations. The company is based in Stuttgart and in Helsinki. We have around 35 employees right now. We already acquired substantial venture capital money, so we raised more than 10 million euros to make that happen. We are already recognized as one of the striving startups in the energy sector by winning the Energy Award in 2019 and just recently winning the SET Award, so Startups Energy Transition, where everyone is awarded, not everyone, but the most relevant startups are awarded that take bold climate actions. And we were the winner in the renewables and energies materials sector. So we took off beginning of 2018 with a mission to make electricity mobile and available to everyone. Simple, easy to use, and reliable. Why are we going to do that? Because there are 1.8 billion people in the world that work in a mobile fashion. If you think about construction, which is closest to that fair, of course, and you can see all the pictures there, and maybe you can relate to some of these. But that's not everything. So there are a lot of other industries that also rely on mobile electricity. And all of them share a common problem, because the solution that they receive today is from the last century. It's combustion-based generators. They are inconvenient, uncomfortable. They are actually the most expensive way of generating mobile electricity. And they are one more thing. They are polluting, and they're actually heavily polluting, because these small generators, they are not regulated or barely regulated. They still have the emission of 100 Euro 6 passenger cars, which is incredible. And then if you think about that, that there are like cities, the C40 cities, for example, that take bold climate action, they already came up with sustainable procurement, which means the more sustainable you can provide your services to these cities, the more credits you get if you apply for a tender. So also in a city in 15 to 20 years from now, if you can imagine that most of the people are driving electric, but then there's a generator because somebody's operating a construction site, and this is even more visible then and more audible, and you can smell it. So we of course saw all of this by visiting our customers when we were working for the tool corporation. And then of course we thought about, so this is obviously a 20th century solution. So how can we bring that into the 21st century? And then we basically resigned from our well-paid jobs at the large German corporation and decided to deliver something to construction people, but to everyone that's working in a mobile fashion that is entirely tailored for their needs. And so we came up with our solution, which is this portable power supply you can see here. And it basically has 5 striking features. It behaves, and that's the first and foremost thing, it behaves like a standard wall socket. So if anything, it will also be powered with our system, no matter what. It's 3.6 kilowatts of constant power. But it has much more excess power on peak loads. So you can turn on any large engine you can imagine that would go from a standard wall outlet. It's lightweight, so you can carry it in one hand. It's compact to fit into any size of trunk. It's durable and reliable, so you can put it into concrete slurry. You can wash it with water. You can rinse it with water. It's waterproof, and the waterproofness is actually limited by the standard socket, which is IP54, but the rest is even higher level. It has long runtime, so it brings you in most of your cases through your entire workday. And after all, it's a silent and clean solution with no emissions at the point of use. Of course, if you now think about that, we are 35 people company that just started 2 years ago. How would you trust someone like that? maybe with what I can present to you here, we have lots of larger customers, and our technology is proven in their labs and on job sites. Just as one example, on the left side, you can still see the holes that were drilled, and with one of these early prototypes, you can see that black box that had an energy content of 1.7 kilowatt hours. They could drill with just one charge as many holes and reinforced concrete that correspond to 4 meters of depth. So what we learned from our large customer, this is 60% more than one of his clients could do on a daily work. So of course we are always asked on how long can I power what? And it's always difficult because for many things you have to tell people, well, it depends. It depends on your environment. It depends on the operator. So how does he or she operate things? So that we usually don't come up with hours, but we come up with jobs that you have to do. So how much can you do with a jackhammer? Not how long does it really work in hours? But you can cut a 48 meters long trench. Maybe one nice example is the circ saw at the very top. We have a large customer in carpentry, and they are interested in cutting 2x4s, which is the standard size for detached houses and house building in the US. And we were able with one charge to cut 3,000 times, which equals 1.5 detached houses on an American standard, which is, I think, quite substantial. Also, the entire construction equipment has changed. In the earlier days, you were doing a lot of pneumatic things that you can see on the lower right. So when you were operating a demolition hammer, you were having this large, for example, Kaiser pneumatic system attached. But for now, for example, if you look at the electric and not the pneumatic systems, they are much higher in efficiency. And then it happens, you can actually do the same job as you see on the lower right. You can do with our unit and with the 30-kilogram demolition breaker from Hilti, Bosch, or whoever your choice is. What you can see is you decrease the volume, so the size of that, by 240 times. You decrease the weight by 90 times, so you can actually carry that in your one hand while you carry your tool in your other hand. And this all comes with an increased efficiency by 10 times, which I find quite remarkable. So it's not only that battery technology is advancing, but the rest is also advancing. And electricity is much more efficient as if you would do this with a pneumatic system like on the lower right. And of course, before you resign from a well-paid job in a German corporation, you first think twice and you think about whether there is a market, and we knew that already. But second, what's up with competition? So how many competitors do you have? How strong are they? And of course, we did our research on that. And it turned out that there are around 30 to 40 companies worldwide that you can get portable power supplies in a battery kind of thing. And what we just realized is all of them are targeted towards leisure and camping. And it's not because this is the larger market. Of course, the professional market is the larger and the more substantial market. But in the end, all of them have shortcomings. So just by the way how they are designed, and our design is completely different, new and innovative. They are 3 times the size, they have 3 times the weight. It's not really portable. You have to install it into a car, or you have to put it onto a cart to move it around. But even more importantly, we have 3 times more the power. So that means many of them are stuck with 1.5, maybe 2 kilowatts of power. But what this means is you cannot just power anything. Also, the peak power is not really sufficient to power large gear, to actually power 2 things at a time, because sometimes you have a cooling system, you have a vacuum cleaner, and you need to power that at the same time like your tool. And many of these, all of them fall short in powering these things. So that's why we say we build the only one that's really entirely suitable for the needs of professionals. This is not the only thing we care about. We also care about sustainable alignment and about sustainable future. I'm the father of 3 children now, and I want to lead them into a world where they can determine themselves how they want to have that world, and not suffer from what we had made on bad decisions. So we strongly believe in that local for local production. So we are sourcing almost everything locally from Europe, and the systems are built and shipped from Europe. We are fan, and we already have that inserted from a modular design. So we are basically designing that in a fashion that if something breaks, you don't have to throw away the entire system, but you can just take one of the small building blocks that was broken and replace it. And of course, our entire system is labeled for repair and for upgrade. So it can be repaired, it can be upgraded, and also for recycling. It can be easily recycled because we can separate the materials. We care about recycled materials. I think the best example is the aluminum housing that you can see. This was basically a request from our customers to make this more rugged, to make this construction feasible, and come up with a metallic housing. And then we choose aluminum because it's light and it brings enough strength. But what we learned at the same time is if you harvest aluminum, you harvest it from, you manufacture it from bauxite. This is mainly harvested in Brazil, and you have to destroy rainforests for that. Plus, it has 95% more energy need to produce pristine aluminum than producing recycled aluminum, which means we, of course, switch to recycled aluminum. We have to pay almost double of the price that we would have paid for pristine aluminum. But we took that because we have also responsibility for the future generations. Our system has long performance and has a long lifetime. So of course, you will always find the high power or high involvement user that is able to destroy a system within 1 or 1.5 years. But the standard lifetime we expect to be 5 to 7 years. And of course, we are closing the loop. So we want to have 100% collection rate. We want to really have all of the systems collected back to us so we can refurbish them and sell them either in third world countries or to people that say, okay, I can live with a used system and I'm happy if I can pay a little lower price. So what's in for construction people? I think the value proposition that we can offer is you save time and effort on your side. So for example, if you go to a construction site, you have peace of mind. You don't have to worry about whether there is electricity, or you have to look for the central distribution system, which is locked. You need to find the guy with the key, and then it's crowded and you cannot put your sockets. All of that is gone with Instagrid. You can just go in there, peace of mind. If nothing is there, you take your Instagrid out of your trunk and you're ready to go. So you can carry the electricity very easily with you. At the same time, you're reducing tripping hazards because no longer you go to the central distribution system and you pull like 3 or 4 50-meter extension cords in a row. This is what usually happens, and also insurances are not quite happy about that, because if somebody trips due to you having a cable not really fixed the right way, the insurance will always come back and try to sue you. And we are very aware of that from Germany. We are aware of that, especially from California, where the cordless job site is something that is of utmost importance. And you can work in any weather conditions. So for us, it's different to our competition. Our competition doesn't have IP rating because they have to have an active cooling, which means they have fans, like you can imagine from a computer. And these fans have to cool the electronics. And this is something that we got rid of. So our system is IP54. On our side, it's actually IP67. You can put it anywhere you want. And you can work in rain or whatever weather condition you can imagine. We are also stepping away from that. We are not only caring about these values, but we are also caring about emissions. And we know that many of the construction people that work in larger cities, like the C40 cities, for example, Amsterdam or Rotterdam, they have to stick to green procurement guidelines. So many of these cities have taken bold climate actions, and they don't want to have combustion engines and combustion-driven equipment in their cities. So we joined forces with the EU under the LIFE umbrella, where we are going to replace fuel-driven generators, contributing to these zero-emission practices for cleaner air in cities. So it's only about urban environments in this project. and we are going to develop this with our emission-free technology. At the same time, of course, we are looking with the EU into assessing and contributing to green procurement policies. So what most of the cities already have installed, we also want to contribute to that. And of course, by using our technology, you get credits in the tenders, which is quite beneficial if you want to win these publicly announced projects. So the frame of this is set. We have started with this. We are going to produce 100 pilot units. We already acquired 20 partners in 8 different EU countries that will operate our systems on their construction sites. 3 years and 24/7 monitoring, because we are not only going to show that this is zero emission at the point of use. We are looking at this at a holistic fashion. So we are looking at something that you call cradle to grave. So basically from when a raw material is taken out of the mine until it's going into recycling, we want to really cover the entire life cycle, how we call it. And our calculations right now tell us that compared to a combustion operated equipment, we can decrease the CO2 emissions by 83%, which is really remarkable. And this will happen throughout the next 3 years. We will deploy the units quite soon to our partners. So before I get to an end, I'd like to just tell you a couple of customer success stories, maybe to inspire you also what you can do with the system. And this is always inspiring to us. So if you have any idea of what else could you power with our unit, just come talk to us. Because if you have something that has a universal power outlet, you sometimes cannot imagine what people want to power with it. So maybe first one is a solar panel installer. So the guy is working independent from grid now. He doesn't have to wait until somebody opens the door. He doesn't have to pet the dogs only if he wants to. So he can really work independent from the customer. And customers really like that, because it's often accompanied by noise, and then you don't want to be at home. So the guy comes in early morning, leaves in the afternoon, or comes in whenever he wants to, and he's set up so he can operate everything that he wants, and is really happy about that. One really cool application is catering. What you can see here is an ice truck. What they usually have in there is either an installed or an external generator that they put somewhere. And if you can see the harbor at the back, you want to walk there, you want to get your ice cream, you don't want to be bothered by noise or by fumes. Actually, the generator is at the level of the children. So if children stand in line, they get the full exposure to these fumes, which is not quite nice. And they are really happy. And since we advertise with them, I think we cannot really. It's a lot of requests that come from catering, from food trucks, from everyone in that respect. Also, restoration is quite a nice example. So the company we were working with here, they could work much more efficiently with us. So they would easily power all of their equipment. And if you think about restoration, you're often in buildings where there's no electricity. So electricity has to be removed as the first step, and then they go in to do their job, and then they need to carry their electricity with them. And this was really a pain for them. And for now, they have a quite good solution, because they can operate it indoor. They don't have to put generators outside, because you cannot operate them indoors, obviously. So yeah, they were really happy with this. Also, they're doing a lot of jobs like cleanings, tombstones on graveyards, which on a graveyard you don't want to be too loud. You want to be respectful, and that helps them quite substantially. One maybe further away from construction application is using our system as an electric jerrycan. This is now an example with a boat, where if your boat breaks down, you can charge additional 9 kilometers and drive it home safely. But this is even more important for electric vehicles. So if you imagine a world in 15 to 20 years from now when everyone runs electric, if you break down because your battery breaks down, then somebody has to come and to tow you. And this is really time consuming, expensive. So the service companies, and we are talking to the largest service companies in the world already, they would just come and leave that unit with you. So you can easily charge like 10 kilometers, and then you can go to the next supercharger, charge your car full in the next 15 minutes. So something that's also we were not aware of, but people came to us and highlighted. With this, I want to close the session from my side. Thanks for listening. if you're interested in Instagrid, I'm happy to receive your questions now and discuss. If there are further things you want to discuss, you can always follow us through social media, or you can write us an email. Thanks.
Okay. I have a question from Thomas. Which battery technology is used? What is the capacity of the battery in kilowatt hours?
So we are using standard lithium-ion technology. If you are deeper into this, we are using NCA as a chemistry. So it's basically what goes into any Tesla, into any power tool. We are just using the similar cylindrical cells that are produced in high quality, high volumes. The capacity of our system is either 1.5 if we're talking about the smaller system, or 2.1 if we're talking about the larger system. Everything else is the same. So the weight is different and the capacity, of course, but everything else, the power levels and the robustness and everything else is the same, because as Instagrid, we don't compromise on power.
No other questions so far.
Okay.
Yes, Thomas. Yes. Do you use the same battery design for the application mentioned?
Yes. So all of this can be done with the same battery design. We have designed a platform, and that can go into any kinds of shapes. So we also have larger customers. I can already mention the company Festool that we are working with, and they have this toolbox. And we will have a system next year that Festool will sell, where everything is put into this toolbox. So yeah, with this system, you can actually charge a laptop if you want to. You don't actually need such a system to charge a laptop, but you could do, and you can power basically the largest equipment you can think that can run on one phase.
Thank you, Thomas. We are looking forward to receive your email and give you some further infos.
All right, good. So are we going to close the session?
There are no further. Okay, just come up another question from Niels. How can you reach the big peak power in comparison to others?
That's quite easy. We are using a different conversion technology than all the others. It's very detailed and technical, so I don't know really what your expectation is in the question, but we are using a different conversion technology. We are using high power cells. So in the end, we can actually take more than 100 amps. So if you think about a large asynchronous motor, for example, where you have to charge a capacitor at the beginning. So for example, a stone saw. We were visiting one of our customers, Husqvarna, and they were not believing that we can power that. So it's basically the way of the power conversion that is fundamentally different in our system. That's what we invented and what our technology is about.
Thank you too. Okay, there are no more questions in the chat, but we are available the whole day in our digital booth, so you can come up every time and of course send us emails even after the event.
All right, cool. Thanks, Sarah. Bye-bye.
Bye.